Did you guys have like a kryptonite or a nemesis? Was there that one player?
Mine was Kevin Gogan. He was the most cheap-shotted guy I've ever seen in my life.
Well, let's welcome to the stage.
Now, you talked about muscles busting outside of your eye. Now that we're in our post-career, where do you think the muscles have gone on us? You know what I mean?
Yes. What do you think? Priest, Hall of Fame? Gotta do this? We're going to get you in there, man. We're going to get you in there. All right.
All right, Kansas City, what is going on? How are we doing today? You feeling pretty good? I want to thank you all for joining the first ever live edition of the Holmes Stretch.
All right, let's get it going. Holy cow. I was doing some math earlier. 21 Pro Bowl selections between these three guys right here. How crazy is that? Members of the all-decade teams for the 90s, the 2000s. We got 3 Super Bowl rings sitting up here. Amazing stuff. Priest, how you feeling, man?
I'm doing pretty good, and I'm glad to be back in Kansas City.
Let's go. Love it. All right, I got a first question, and this is for all of you, but I'll start with you, Priest. What is it like each and every time you land back here in KC, and what is that feeling you get when you come back home?
Yeah, so for me, it's a little different because coming out of San Antonio and flying back in, number one, the airport looks entirely different than the last time that I've been here, of course, and I've enjoyed that. But the first time that I got here, I went to go get my rental car, and there was a lady by the name of Latrice, and she was decked out with Chiefs gear. And I can tell you that was one of the first individuals that I saw that greeted me. Funny story is the fact that it's been about 20 years since I've played, and one thing that I found out is that Chief Nation is here, Chief Kingdom is here, and it's everywhere.
Only 20 years?
Yeah.
20 years? I don't want to say how long it's been 20 for you then.
All right, what about you, Will? What's it like when you're around the fans, the passion?
Well, the great thing about it is I live here, so I get to feel it every week, every day, be a part of it. I get a chance to sort of hang out. Watch Red Fridays is really the cool part, just watching everybody just have the vibe. And, you know, we've been spoiled for the last 7 years, for sure. And so to be able to watch those guys and go watch them in the Super Bowl and how they perform, it's a lot of fun to be a part of the Chiefs' kingdom.
Nice. And what about you, Neil? What's it like being here?
I live here also, along with Will, and most of the guys that, was drafted here, that played here, they actually, a whole lot of us still live here within the areas, I think everybody seems to settle down here in Kansas City is because of, the camaraderie. Everybody just, you can live your life and be happy and feel like you can make it in America here in the Midwest. So, I'm not taking anything back from my man down in Texas, but I remember when I got here and I was doing the radio. I just flew from New York and I flew here in the overnight moment, and I was on the radio and the lady said, "Well, how do you feel to be here?" And I said, "Well, it's so good to be in Kansas." And I just got off a flight and I was like, "Well," she said, "Kansas." She said, "First of all, you need to know where you're at." And then I had to explain to her. I said, "Okay, I had an overnight flight. I know I'm in Kansas City. I know that the river spreads different, and divides to Kansas from Missouri side. But thank you for having me."
Nice. Well, we're happy you're here. We're happy you're here. Look, Priest, I got to ask you this too. Okay, you're a Texas Longhorn, right?
Yes.
But you happen to be sitting next to 2 Nebraska Cornhuskers. Are you feeling safe? Are you feeling okay? What are your thoughts?
I'm actually feeling pretty good because the last time I faced Nebraska, we came away with a W, a big W.
Okay.
Oh, is that the game that I was at when they blew the whistle and they gave y'all 1 second to kick a field goal?
That's what he's saying, the field goal. He's saying a field goal, but it was a great game. And, of course, we had the likes of Sean Mitchell and Ricky Williams and James Brown. Eric Warfield was opposite on the ball, played against him. So we enjoyed a really great time, and it was the only time that we had a chance to feed the Cornhuskers a little bit of corn.
Well, you could say they were pretty loaded. I mean, you just heard like 5 guys that all did very well at the next level, so they were a little loaded at that point.
Yeah. Well, speaking of next level, Will, I'll start with you. What was it like reaching that next level when you finally became a pro and you stepped onto that field for the first time?
The greatest thing about it is that I ended up having a guy that went to Nebraska across from me. So he sort of helped me indoctrinate and learn all the little nuances, what to say and not to say, which at that point I didn't say much at all. Just say, come in, go to work, figure it out, and learn from the guys in front of you. So, And I had one of those very good young coach. Well, I shouldn't say young coaches. He was older, but he was a guy that could sort of put you in the right places at the right time. And he just took what you had and he sort of made you better and mold yourself off of what you could do, not necessarily what everybody else around you did.
Yeah, that sounds like a dream coach.
Oh, he was
walking
awesome.
into that situation.
Well,
sure.
you sort of had that hate-love relationship with him,
Okay.
He would yell and scream and cuss you out and all this other stuff, but it came from a good spot. It came from him actually trying to make you better.
Yeah, that's like
Yeah.
a bonus parent, right? Good parents. Love-hate relationship. That's good.
That love-hate relationship as parents. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. What about you, Neil? What was your experience like stepping onto the field for the first time as a pro?
Well, I had one goal set when I was coming in. The guys that came before me that came from the University of Nebraska, hard-working program. Guys went on the last 3 or 4 years. So I had one main objective. Like, I got to get past the 5th or 6th year because they say we are burnt out. Most of the guys are burnt out in Nebraska. So I had this common goal that, man, I got to go past 6 and 5 years to make myself feel like, I made it more, a little bit more advanced. And then I just heard about this kid that came right behind me named Will Shields, just outdid me all, did us all. I mean, he probably played for 20 years?
No, not 20.
Never missed a game.
Yeah, never missed a game. Never missed a single
man.
game.
So he superseded, man, into the highest level. But it was fun. I know Will, when I played with Will, he never, ever said anything. He was just one of those quiet guys. He drove the same car forever, and he still probably got that same car, never cast a check. That's just how this guy is.
We got rid of the car, man. We finally got rid of the car, so we're good.
But now he's in a hybrid thing, so I'm trying to follow Will. I'm trying to follow Will footsteps, man. That's
Yeah,
all.
sure.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I saw Will. He pulled up in a hybrid. I was like, all right, that's an electric car. That's good. But I got a question for you guys. So I know moving from Nebraska and coming to Kansas City, Schottenheimer, I didn't get a chance to play with him, but I've heard some really great stories about him. How would his coaching style impact the game now, or would a bunch of his players end up getting a lot of flags, a lot of penalties just because of their aggressiveness?
Well, I mean, I can only talk from the defensive side, and Will can just elaborate on the offensive side. But, he was a hell of a coach. He was a defensive-oriented coach, as you know, from out of Cleveland. He always liked to get his players and put them in the great spots to make things happen. And I really feel like, he was a pusher, man. I mean, he was a grinder. Marty Ball, I don't know if it can exist this year. I mean, in this day and age, because we worked so hard, Priest. A lot of great years was taken from me, I think, because I was, doing everything that he was seeding, everything that he was giving, and then trying to give it back, on the field and the product. And it just took so many years away. And I think right now, the way they're going about things now, the way the offense has changed, I still would be maybe $100 million guy. I mean, I wouldn't put that past me, but it would be nice. But those years have passed me, and the only thing we can do now is just look at these younger kids and say, "Wow, look how great they have it, man." We really laid the pathway for them.
Well, you had a taste of that with having Vermeil.
Yes.
So Vermeil and Marty were similar at how they did things. That's why I didn't worry about Vermeil when he came in, because I had Marty. I had Schottenheimer, so I knew what those 2.5 to 3 hour practices were like. We'd hit every day. Yeah. We call it tenderizing the muscles, get them used to getting hit.
Tell me about it, Will.
And so when Vermeil came talking about filling up your tank,
fill your tank up,
I was like, I was used to it. It was what I was used to. I didn't know any different. So when the guys come from other places and they go, oh, well, we only practice. Matter of fact, we didn't even know what shells were until then. And so those are things that we were just used to getting that hard nose, hitting every day, getting ready for the game to a point to where practice was the hardest thing. The games became easy.
That's right.
That's crazy. Well, look, Priest and I were talking about this off mic, but the Marty Schottenheimer tree is crazy. I mean, 15 future head coaches came after him, right? I mean, that's incredible. So that's a testament to what kind of coach he was and what he instilled. Do you think he would be successful today? I know it's a different style of ball, but he could adapt, right? You think Marty could adapt?
I think so. I mean, I think he had the DNA in him. I think that, his son is making that adjustment right now in Dallas.
Sure.
So, and, seen his first outing that, they looking more better than what they looked at in the past. So I think he would have fit in very well. I mean, I know he can adapt, and his show can make an adjustment. So any coach that ever coached in the past can probably do this. And this is the offensive style of how things is. And, we look back and we look at our position or we look at play, and it's similar, same stuff, but just more movement, misdirection stuff that, you just have to study and have an understanding about where to go at and what to do.
Sure.
Well, if you look at Detroit today, that would be what we would be right now if you were looking at that kind of mentality.
Sure.
As far as tough nose, hit him in the mouth, do those kind of things. So that would have been Marty Ball of the day, would have been more like the Detroit teams that you see right now.
Okay.
Now, we had this conversation, remember, offline, and I had given Detroit a little bit of a praise in terms of the way that they come to work, the way that they practice, right? So
Give him a nice big hug. You did.
I think Will has backed me on that in terms of just that philosophy that goes with the Detroit Lions and how they're going to be playing in the NFC.
Yeah. How do you feel the Lions are going to do overall this year?
Well, I think, they've lost a lot of guys. The talent level's different. Every year is different. You're trying to recreate that magic you had a year ago. And I think some of that was the simple fact they were playing behind the eight ball. When everybody got hurt, the guys that stepped up were more focused. They were ready to go. They were doing different things. Now you're getting guys back that's been injured. So first and foremost, I got to make sure my knee is going to work. I got to make sure my Achilles is healed. I got to make sure it's going to take them a little while to get back into that mode, because once you've been injured, which, I know my guy right here understands that,
Yes.
you got to trust those muscles again. You got to trust that I could get back into the middle of it. And I think that's what's going to take them a few weeks to get back into that field.
Okay. Let's talk teammates for a second here. So, not necessarily your favorite teammate, but your teammate that brought the best out of you, and you respected each other and made you work that much harder so you could reach your full potential. What teammate was that for you? We'll start with you, Neil.
With me, I would think it's no question it would be Derek Thomas. I mean, Derek Thomas by far.
Yeah, let's hear it for Derek,
number
man.
one on the book, man. We did everything together. We, great teammates, great friends, both on and off the field. And as Will can tell you, Derek wasn't really a good practice guy. He just know how to play. He didn't care about practice. He didn't care about wearing pads. He would go through it, and they couldn't break him for who he was and what he was standing for. But on Sundays, you can guarantee when them balloons go up back in the days, he would be there. And, and I had to match it. So that's why we became such a great duo, because we was trying to feed off each other. If they double team me, he had a single one-on-one, he'll win it every time, and vice versa. I only had a few one-on-ones that I've won, but I took advantage of it. So those guys, I mean, him in himself was probably, far the foremost, and I can't take away now. All of my guys that that made the Hall of Fame that I've been with here in Kansas City, through Denver, that I could say that, those guys also is a true testament in where you want to go and how you want to do it, including this man, Will Shields, too.
Nice.
Well, I guess for me, you can look at a bunch of different guys I had that I emulated and took, I call it taking part of their game and adding it to what I did. But as far as going back and forth, it would be me and Willie. Me and Willie were drafted the same year. He was a first-round pick. I was a third-round pick. But it was flipped where I won the Outland and he didn't win the Outland. So we go back and forth. And so he would be left side, I'd be right side, and we'd be trying to go, okay, who's going to be the better guy? So that's how we sort of made ourselves better every week of working at it. And that's what made it fun, the simple fact of getting those little internal battles. But then on the other side of the ball, it was, first thing, of course, seeing Dan Salamua and all of those guys on a day-to-day basis when we did one-on-ones, they all made you better. Because once you saw them, you could be like, oh, that's a bull rush? No, this is what this guy does compared to what I really want to see on a day-to-day basis. And then there's other guys you played against that also made you better. So the first indoctrination day would be when Minnesota came.
Okay.
And they had this dude named John Randall and Dolman, and they had 3 Hall of Famers that came in. It set the tone for the rest of your career. And that was, when the guys walk in and you see this guy screaming and yelling and he's got face paint on, you're going, this is a whole different league.
Yeah. It's in the ball.
Yeah, so I guess for me, I think I'm going to piggyback off of Will said. So Willie Rofe, Will Shields, it's something about having your linemen that go out to battle for you every Sunday, put themselves on the line in terms of just that combat that they're going to have within those few inches of the line of scrimmage. So one thing that they taught me is really how to approach the game. I've shared this before. And whenever I would run to my left side with Willie Rofe and Brian Waters, it was more of like an aggressive run. I just had to put my foot in the ground and just go one speed, one direction, and just hit the hole. When I would run to my right side with John and Will and Casey Wigman coming to the right side, it was always more of like a I knew that Will was a technician. So I knew that if I tried to just be aggressive and run to the right side, that was more for my left side. What Will taught me how to do was to slow down my steps, be more of a technician, execute. And then one thing that I loved about Will is that if a lineman wanted to go any direction, Will wasn't going to fight him. He was just going to take him wherever he wanted to go. And so I could always trust that about Will. And so that's one thing that I always proved myself was to make sure that I was in tune with my linemen.
And that was, you know what, by him saying that, it kind of brought me back to why I really became a Priest Holmes fan, because he had such a great offensive lineman that group of guys, man, I'll tell you what, to see him, the patience that he had, and all of a sudden he's just wait, put his hand on the back of Will or whatever and just let it develop, and then next thing you know, he pops out of there. You know, everybody thought, you know, Priest being short was a little guy, but I've never seen him as a little guy. He was always more of a power runner to me, but then the patience that he showed, I mean, that's what made me super excited about, you know, our offense back then. Then when they played, I was really, really intrigued. But on the defensive side, I was so shocked not to hear you say that Ray was not the best player that you ever been, that you played with.
Now, the reason why I couldn't give Ray any credit is because my first 2 years, especially my first year in the league, so in 1997, I went to the Baltimore Ravens, right, undrafted. I get there, and it was almost like as if Will had a sign on his chest to where it's like, do not touch Ray Lewis. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, this is unfair. Y'all get to punish me every snap, but we can't hit you. So for a long time, Ray and we always had that. And so once I got to Kansas City, I couldn't wait, because I knew every trick in the book that Ray was going to have on that day. And so that's why when we faced the Ravens, we got those W's every time.
And speaking of that guy, the first time I ever met Ray Lewis, we was on a fishing trip, me, Derek Thomas, and Deion Sanders. We was out in the ocean, and this guy jumps on a boat, and we didn't know who he was. It was just Ray, because Derek invited him to the trip, and he never fished. The whole time we was out there 2.5 hours, he did sit-ups and he did push-ups, and he never was in the league.
What?
And I said, I have no idea who you are, but the harder you working, you will be there.
Yes.
So he had a great work ethic before he even got in the league.
Oh, that's good.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
can't even
moving.
fish? Can't take the time to fish, I guess? No,
Yeah,
gotta
can't
work
take
out.
fish. We can do a sit-up and a push-up.
That's nuts. Breaking news from Bet365. New customers, Priest, $5. You just bet that and you can get $200 in bonus bets. Win or lose. So sign up, place a bet for $5 and get $200 in bonus bets. Win or lose.
Bonus bets can be used on the spread, player props, futures, and so much more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. Or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 21 plus only. 18 plus in Kentucky. Please gamble responsibly, and you must be present in Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, and Kentucky, as well as Louisiana and select parishes. Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. $10 minimum deposit required. Terms and conditions apply. In-app only. All right. I want to ask about what it means to be a Kansas City Chief. Like, what embodies that? What characteristics come with that? And what's expected of you as a Kansas City Chief?
Well, I mean, for me, it's like when I got drafted, you know, it was a lot of high expectation because I went second overall in the draft. So when you go first and the second guy off the board, a lot of high expectation is developing you, and you really have to have a mindset that, you know, you have to go in and work, you know, for whatever you're going to get out of it. And, you know, the first year was really awful. But back in the 90s, you know, when we got Coach Schottenheimer, and of course you got Carl Peterson when the first movement started, you know, they drafted, you know, Derek Thomas was one of their first draft, and then went on from there. We became a hell of a team, you know, and we put the foundation down. And once the foundation was down, we kind of got offensive guy. We had an identity that we have a great defense, we have a great offense where we'll smash mouth you or however you wanted to approach us, we will come in and make it happen. So to me, it was just it's the next step from being a young man to growing into a man, to where, you know, how you're going to handle yourself both on the field and off the field. What are you going to do when you're in your community, and how the people going to accept you? And that's how I've always approached it, you know, and just to still have my teammates that still live here, and the ones that's not, when they come in town, you can go golfing with them, you still can hang out with them and do the other things.
So it's a family for sure.
Absolutely.
What about you, Will?
For here, it was the simple fact of opportunity, you know, giving you a chance to come in and prove yourself. You know, they didn't have to give you an opportunity, but you getting to where you are and what they said they needed and then you're saying, okay, I'm going to go and try to prove myself and saying this is where I need to be, this is what I want to be. But then learning the history of what they have done over the years and how he sort of bogarted his way into getting his team put in and everything else. It was really cool to be able to sit there with, at one point we're sitting there with Bobby Bell and different greats, and we're sitting here listening to them tell their story of, hey, at one point I couldn't play here. And this guy broke the barrier. He changed the way you can do things. He gave you those opportunities. And so it was one of those organizations where you look at it and go, man, this is pretty sweet. I get a chance to sort of work my way into doing something unique and special, but then you have a brotherhood from that point forward for the rest of your life.
And that's got to be top down, right? I mean, Lamar Hunt changed everything with the game, right?
Yeah.
What about you, Priest? What's it mean to be a Kansas City Chief?
Lamar was very instrumental in me arriving to the Kansas City Chiefs along with Dick Vermeil. But even outside of that, I just go back to just thinking of Will and also thinking of Neil. Just as a former player, I had a chance to follow, watch, and learn from Will all those years that I played. But for Neil, as a former player, I didn't get a chance to ever play with Neil, but I got a chance to build a friendship with him after, post-football. And so at the end of the day, man, I think that's all what it's all about, that you continue those relationships, that the way that you come in, you can always leave out a different way. And I think I've left with some really great relationships, great friendships, and I'm really proud of what these guys are doing. And so, Will, I know in particular, we were touching on different topics, but there's a committee that I believe that we briefly talked about, man. There's a new award that's going to be coming out, rolling out this year. And so you want to share a little bit about it?
Well, we actually finally we get a offensive lineman award. It's called the Protector of the Year Award.
Yes, finally.
Mr. Smith.
I like that.
Finally.
I'm not mad at that. I'm going to clap to that. The big guys need their awards.
There's been a lot of MVPs that are quarterbacks and defensive tackles. And, the more sacks you get, that kind of stuff, you at least get in the running. But they've never had an offensive lineman get in the running. So we had to go create our own award that we actually can give to our guys. But it's really cool. There's like 5 or 6 of us that's on the committee. There is a percentage of plays that the guys have to play, and we are actually going to go and study film and grade them and put it together to where, we get a chance to show our big guys some love, give them an opportunity to say that, hey, you're the cream of the crop for this year, the best of the best of what you're doing, so we can get other guys to sort of emulate that because it's not the glorified position. So you've got to do the grunt work to get there, but we want to give them a little honor of saying, hey, great job, we appreciate it, and then set it up for the next year.
Well, Coach Madden started that, and he should have just kept on going with those Madden. When he had the Madden Awards, and he would just love the linemen. He don't care what way he was dressed, his pants was down. he was measuring the sweats of the pants, who was working the hardest. So I get that offensive lineman. That's well deserved. It should be. They don't get a lot of. The name only get called when they're holding. That's
offside.
Every play when they're offside. Almost every play. When they make a good block, it's a great block and they made a touchdown. So big hats off to the offensive line. And we all got bald heads.
Thanks.
we got something in common post-football.
We do. Something happens when you play football.
Well, okay, so Will, you mentioned you're back in the film room for this, right? You're watching tape again.
Yeah.
When you watch tape and you watch games today, how much has the game changed since you guys have all retired? And do you think your style of play, your particular style of play, how would it fare in today's NFL?
Well, I think coaches just change the name of certain plays. They're all similar. They're all different things that you do. Only thing different today is that they've finally learned a way to run the option in professional football, and they call it RPOs. So it's run pass option, and basically we used to call them check with me's. The simple thing of changing one play to another. Now they just do it in different ways where the quarterback can either throw it or leave it. And what makes it hard for offensive linemen, if it's a true RPO, I can't just go and hit this guy and try to move him 5 yards. Because if I slip off of him and he throws the pass, you're down the field. So you sort of create some of that non-aggressiveness. So I can't be as aggressive as I want to. It's not like we go out and call a power. I know I'm pulling, I'm hitting the linebacker. Priest is coming downhill, and he's getting the ball. If we run a certain power and it's an RPO, I got to sort of tiptoe till I make sure he has the ball, and that makes it hard. So that's the only really difference in the change. And certain teams have to commit to go, hey, this game we're going to beat up people and we're going to run the ball, and I'm calling all run plays, which is very rare that you see anymore. So that's what makes it hard.
Well, I'm very shocked. I'm very shocked of you, not saying that you couldn't adjust and you will adjust, but the bottom line is this: holding is holding. You can still hold. Way back then.
Holding is different now because as long as you're inside of the frame.
But that's the same rules, right?
Yeah, and the last team you played with was very good at it. Your guys were very good at it. You mastered it. They mastered it very well because I know your O-line coach. So he taught them well. Alex was good at that. But that's the whole point of you can play at any time. I mean, the thing of it is, it's just line play doesn't change a whole lot. It's just understanding footwork, balance, and knowing where you're going to go with the ball.
Okay. Priest, I asked you this before, but I'm going to ask these two if it's okay. Did you guys have like a kryptonite or a nemesis or someone that you faced off time and time again and you would get the best of each other and it was just an all-out duel throughout your whole careers? Like, was there that one player that you had it circled on the calendar, couldn't wait?
Mine was Kevin Gogan. He can line up anywhere he wants to, but he, is one of the guys I never cared about. He was the most cheap shot guy I've ever seen in my life. And I know we're on the back. And
well, let's welcome to the state.
Well, bring his big ass on. I mean, I still got it. I got some. I ain't hit nobody since 2000, but I still got a little left in me. But nevertheless, we ain't going there. But Kevin Gogan was a guy that he started in Dallas. We played against the Cowboys, and he was supposed to be an offensive tackle. And I talked to him the whole game, said, son, you really don't want to be out there because you're going to really lose your job playing against me as a rookie. And then they happened to move him inside. He got drafted. Then he went to, I think, the Raiders.
The Raiders.
So he played inside guard with the Raiders for a long time. And then, the next time I seen him, it was in a Pro Bowl one year. And I'm not proud of this, but, someone brought it to my attention that, Neil, you was one of two of the guys that ever got ejected out of the Pro Bowl. It was because that dirty cheap shot, no good for nothing. Yeah, he did that, and then I just lost my cool.
Ejected out of a Pro Bowl, man.
Yeah.
Come on, what are you
Ejected.
doing?
I couldn't believe that.
That's pretty
man,
bad.
It's a true story.
That's amazing. All right, what about you, Will? Do you have someone that it was extra special when you knew you were going up against them?
Trevor Price.
Ooh, Jeezy Poo.
He was just unique, man.
What's the okay?
He's one of these dudes, man, that he had one of the ugliest stances you've ever seen in your life, and you couldn't read him.
No, you can't.
And he's tall and lanky, and he would just do things that would just bother you, And I'm only 6'2.5", but he could just stretch. He stretches his body in certain ways, so I had to negotiate space with him. And then, of course, my main nemesis was John Randall. That dude, man, he could just do everything from the same spot, same stance, and he can really make your life ugly. I think my first 2 Pro Bowls, he basically won the car by beating me at least 12 times. He was that good at what he was doing.
Yeah, so I think every player has a nemesis, but to be a running back, there's a front line of protection before it actually even gets to me. And the good part about me is that when I played with the Chiefs, Brian Waters was my left guard. And so Brian Waters was that type of lineman that if someone took a cheap shot on me, I just looked at Brian Waters and I say, 98.
Muddy water.
And at some point during the game, he was going to get his hands on that particular player and get some get back for me. You know what I mean? So the lineman protected me all across the board. So quick question for you guys. The fact that we've kind of steamrolled this conversation with a lot of offense, defensively, that would have been a pleasure of me to have the opportunity to play alongside you, of course. What was really the big difference, do you think, in terms of your position when you were playing and now? In terms of now the guys, they're a lot more smaller. They still have the size of the height, but it's a faster guy that's on the edge. What do you think is the biggest difference?
You just said it. You said speed, height, and ability, and I had all 3 of those. And if you needed me to drop a little size, I was one small before I got big, and I can't get it off me now. But nevertheless, I'm a pro basketball guy, transformation to a football guy, and that's what I did when I went to Nebraska, knowing that they was going to put it on me and take it off me. So I would have fit very well. The only thing that really bothers me now that I see they do what you guys call these RPOs and these quick passes, all these 1-yard passes, and there's so many windows that quarterbacks look through. And when you say a window, it's basically between the next person and the player that you're throwing the football through. The quarterback has got such a window that I just don't understand why the defensive players at this moment don't put their hands up more. And if you look at the game that we played last week, the defensive lineman, I think it knocked Patrick Mahomes ball down about 3 times. That's getting off the field. That's winning football. I enjoyed doing that. I mean, I think I had more knockdown passes getting off the field in third down situations where, you know, I can then, you know, go to the bench and say that's a win because your offense can't get off the field. But these guys so want the sack now. They want the sacks more than they want getting off the field and knocking balls down and saving it for the other team.
Now, Mark, we talked about the sacks. Is what, 22 and a half?
22 and a half is the current.
Is the standard?
In a single season.
Yeah, I really think Micah Parsons would break that record. That's my guy. That's my guy I'm going to.
He's aggressive. I can tell you that.
And you know what? He reminds me so much of Derek Thomas. It's unbelievable. I mean, Derek Thomas had the fastest get off. He watched Micah Parsons get off. That's all you got to do. See the ball snap and watch him. He looked like he's a second and a half before everybody.
Now, I'm going to ask you this. Between him being with the Cowboys and now with Green Bay, do you see a difference between him changing uniforms? Is he the same player, or has something changed about his work ethic?
I don't think anything changed. I just think that he know that he's in a better place.
Gotcha.
You know, when you're a defensive guy and you feel like you're the only one, and you know you need somebody, you got to push somebody else to make your level of play up. Well, they had that level of play. You know, now you can see that the Green Bay has gotten a lot better within the time they got Micah Parsons in. They can keep him healthy, which is the number one thing that's been in his career that to get him going. But you know, as a true defensive lineman, I mean, he is something special, man. I mean, it's just hard to say. I know Myles Garrett is another beast of a man. I mean, he got muscles coming all out his eyes. I mean, I mean, Myles, you know, he's just he's a physical specimen that, like, I don't know who can stop him if he really get to going. Yeah. And I think now he's at that comfortable position where if he feel like he wants to go, nobody going to beat him. Nobody going to stop him.
Now, you talked about muscles busting outside of your eye. Now that we're in our post-career,
Yes.
where do you think the muscles have gone on us? You know what I mean? What are you guys eating now? What are you guys eating? And this is nothing against being here today, but of course, what are you guys eating? I'm curious to know what you guys are eating to stay fit.
You know what, man? I'm still the same. I'm always a chicken and fish guy. You know, I love this, you know, eating clean is mainly, but I go, my fried chicken I'll go to, you know, when I really want to get to, but I do a lot of, the air fryer is my best friend I've ever had in my life, man.
I like the air fry, yes indeed.
Yeah, so, you know, you can't make a mistake with that, but.
Yeah, let's hear it for the air fryer. One guy up front.
One guy.
Connoisseur over here, yeah, he's psyched.
But, you know, being from Louisiana, and I just had to went back there to bury, you know, a loved one, but being there, I can say I'm so happy to be away from that place. When I went back home last week, I ate so much food, man, that I was like, this is one of the reasons why I'm not back here living here, because I'll be about 450 pounds right now.
Will, what about you? What are you eating these days, man?
Well, we call it plant-based eating. Okay. You start with plant-based, so you do a lot of vegetables and a lot of different things like that.
Same guy.
Same guy.
Yeah, that's right.
Plant guy.
You do a lot of plant-based, but you do a lot of, you know, you do a little fish and chicken, that kind of stuff, but mostly, you know, you try to do as much of that plant-based stuff that you can work in, and it really helps you. It helps your body feel a little better. You know, I went to that at one point. I was up to 350, so it's good to be down to 275 now. And that's what I did. I went plant-based, and it just sort of dropped off and makes you feel better.
Now, being where you're at today, if you could go back to when you were younger, when you were first starting out, coming out of Nebraska, what would you probably tell your younger self in terms of whether it's the way you work out, the way you eat? What would be that one change you would make?
It would be diet. It would be eating, yeah. Yeah, if I ate differently, I probably could have added at least 4 or 5 more years onto my career.
Good.
Easily.
Not for me, because like I said, I was a basketball guy and he had to put the weight on me, so I was a more high protein guy going into Nebraska. So I ate, you know, steak for breakfast, steak for lunch, and steak for dinner. You do that for 4 years, you'll never see another steak in your life. So, you know, that's why I'm not a big steak guy now. But that's, to me, that's the only thing. It was the high protein part of it. I think as a pro, if I would just, you know, put back into it, I could have had more longevity, you know, with the body. And, you know, we only know what we know. You know, back then we worked so hard and we didn't know exactly, you know, what to do. But now they have so many different programs and guys spend so much more money putting back into their bodies to get them, you know, to have that longevity.
Now, I don't know if you've been back to the Chiefs stadium, but I believe every player has a chef. I'm not sure if it's that they have a chef, but I know that they
Personal.
get a
It must
personal.
be
Yeah.
personal
preparation.
I don't know if it's
Yeah, Priest, you were
team-wise.
describing it as like a buffet. Like you were like, yeah, we just show up at one long table.
Will was there. He witnessed this. We had
There's-
two
there's-
8-foot tables.
There's
Not even
no
a-
buffet. They bring it over from one side of the stadium in trolleys
Oh my God. Okay.
and set it out in the middle of the hallway
On an 8-foot
on
table.
an 8-foot
hallway?
table. Yep. And you come and get your food, and you can actually take it to your room and watch
It's so-
film
it's such-
and that
Wow.
kind of stuff. And so all these other places, I remember Tampa Bay at one point was everybody was showing Tampa Bay's dining room and chefs and everything else. And no, ours was a big trailer. They just bring that trailer. Hey, here you go, eat it, go
Hey,
for it.
thank God for the people that was around here, like the late Maxine's that brought food. We got from different entities, places that was around here to bring our food, like breakfast. We had to pay those people to have our meals prepared for us because we really didn't have anything at the stadium for lunch or nothing or for breakfast. So it was always somebody, that catered to us.
Priest, I can see some poor soul, like all these huge dudes waiting to eat, and he just has the cart, and he like pushes it and runs away before it gets tackled.
Well,
Yeah.
two things for sure. We would definitely have some type of salad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we had the ultimate cookie tray. We had a whole bunch of oatmeal raisins.
Okay.
Yeah, we had the with some gingerbread cookies,
Gingerbread,
chocolate
something like that,
chips. Probably one of the funnest delicacies to our menu. But we're going to have some chicken, some vegetable, of course, some type of bread. And then you just see our morning breakfast. Now, that was a sight to see. We had, Raisin Bran, Cheerios, Frosted Flakes. So
Okay.
it was a very interesting meal
Cereal
table.
on
But
tap.
times have changed now.
They
As they
have.
say, they become more knowledgeable now.
Right.
So, they can expand and make it better, especially, with what these guys are making and what they're doing. You got to take better care of them.
And everyone's different, right?
Yeah,
Everybody
exactly.
is different.
Every
so-
team is different.
I
too.
actually saw just looking in the locker room in a camera that was in the locker room. They had like a buffet food doing it like at halftime. I'm like, what is this, man? They only gave us fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, I remember the orange slices
Yeah, man, that's all they-
that were cut up.
That's all you. Oh, banana. You would.
The bananas. They had some bananas, yes.
Yeah, you would hope to find a hot dog or something around there at that time.
Actually, I would go before the game and get the Sonic tater tots.
You know what I'm saying?
And have them up in my
Okay.
locker for
Sonic tater tots
anything,
pregame.
anything that can get that 3 hours behind
Hey,
you, man. Because
yeah,
you know
man.
you're so scared.
At
You don't
halftime.
want nothing in you. And a lot of
Yeah.
people don't understand. Athletes, we don't eat before we play. We just
Right.
like get enough to preserve, and then when it's over, that's when we go to it.
Yeah. Well, now you know the secret to how he never missed a single game. It's those Sonic tater tots. So just start rolling those in.
Yeah. Now, did you have ketchup with that, Will? Did you
nope,
add
no ketchup.
plain
No
tater
Plain
tots?
tater tots,
All right.
man.
All
Take
right.
that.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have had that air fryer, boy. He really been
We could have
As
set
you
that
cook
up
it
right
up-
in the locker
Cook
room.
it up for 'em.
Oh no. Oh no. Now that the season's underway, and you've got a little taste, I want you to pick who you think's going to be the defensive and offensive players of the year this year. Okay, you got a little taste.
Yeah.
You kind of see some things bubbling up. Where's your head at? We'll start
saying-
with offensive first.
I'm glad you did,
Yeah.
Josh Allen.
Okay, Josh
Absolutely.
Allen.
I mean, that pedigree, it's in him. He has the ability. He's a gunslinger. He knows how to win, and I think that's who I would choose
Okay,
offensively.
offense. What about defense?
Defensively, just in a week, I've been totally impressed. Had the wrong impression about this guy. There was a dispute in Dallas where there was an argument over contracts, right? Jerry says, hey, this is what it is. I did my part as an owner. You need to accept it. He didn't accept it. Got into the media, got kind of messy. Micah Parsons. I don't know if you saw how he walked down and he was running from the back end and he walked down the quarterback and tackled him. But I remember seeing that in slow motion. I said, man, he looks different. He looks ready to play.
He's on a mission.
He is on a mission.
On a mission, my friend.
You know, it goes back to like if you look good, you feel good, you play good.
Yeah.
And he definitely looked great in that Green Bay uniform. And he's had these muscles popping out of his arms. And when he walked down the quarterback and grabbed him from behind and sacked him, I said, man, this is a different guy.
Yep.
And I think that I've experienced that in terms of getting into a new team, new environment, new jersey. It just brings a different mystique about you. It allows you to rebrand yourself. It allows you to have a different type of discipline and be a different type of leader. I see him more of a leader with Green Bay than I did when he was with Dallas. Yes.
Well, I think now he has the freedom to do that.
Yes,
It's a
absolutely.
different environment. I don't know if you caught the they have this wall in Green Bay where they paint a whole bunch of stuff like graffiti and art and paintings.
Okay, not familiar with it.
And there's a big thing that says thank you, and it has Micah Parsons now in the Green Bay uniform, and Jerry Jones just crying, like a big thing of him just crying.
That's right.
It just says
he's going to
you.
cause havoc in that division. I'm excited to see how that season goes. But those would be the top two.
Okay,
Parsons,
so he's your defensive
yes.
player of the year. And I'll give you one opportunity because previously we had chatted about Green Bay and Micah Parsons, and I said, does this put them in the Super Bowl conversation? You're like, I don't know. Does it?
I
Do you
actually
change
said
your mind
no.
now?
I actually said I don't. I just didn't see Green Bay making that jump. As hard as it is to play in Green Bay, I still didn't see that. I still don't see that happening. But I do see him wrecking, causing havoc on the defensive side of the ball. I think this is going to be an incredible year for him, and I think we're going to see a different Parsons. I really do. Yeah, definitely the aggression is there. I think he was more of a prima donna with the Cowboys, and I think sometimes you can fall into that just because of when I grew up thinking I want the star on my helmet.
Yeah.
You know, as a kid, and it was
he
all
backed it
lights,
up.
camera.
He backed it up.
Yeah, it was all lights, camera, and action. But I feel like that's how I viewed him. So that's just my own personal take on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the work is always in the pudding. I always say that the work is in the pudding, Mark. It always is, man. What you putting down? Because he's putting it down. You know what I'm saying? So
I see what you did there. You're on
I'm trying to catch up. Remember, I told you I was going to come back with
I was
something.
gonna say I'm wearing off on you early. This is
Yes.
good. This is good.
Yeah,
bringing
so-
you into my world. I like it.
I like it.
It's never ordinary with Bet365. We know this.
That's right.
All right. Well, look, we'd be remiss, Priest, if we didn't start talking about the fans a little bit. So can we hear a round of applause for yourself? These Chiefs fans
Thank
that
you,
came
guys.
out here to support the show today. Priest Holmes and everybody. What do these fans mean to you? Like, how did they affect you while you were playing? You know, what was it like your fan experience, you know, the player-fan relationship between you and these fans here?
Well, I'm looking out there and I see these two nuns just sitting back here. God bless their soul. They have been here since mother and father time. And everywhere they go, to dress like that,
Yes.
the true nuns are now they are dedicated to where this movement has been since the 90s and before the 90s because it started way back then, man. And I tell you what, they just love us, man. I'm like, how could you not be involved where people comes together and they're for one call, you know, to cheer for you and to do something for you. And I knew on third down, if I didn't get it to third and long and I made them jump, they was cheering because they knew that I got somebody offside, now it's third and long, and we're going to really get them. So it was always something that kind of stuck with the fans that I always enjoyed. Back when we had the turf, you know, the turf, as you know, the way the stadium is built with the bowl, it used to literally hit the asphalt and the cement not the cement and the asphalt that we played on, and the carpet just was right on the top. So loud that you couldn't hear the person next to you.
Wow.
Literally hear the person Will next to me say something. We had to look at each other, give each other codes, and you know, and it was so tough for people to come in there and play. And still today, you know, since they pull it up, the fans are more louder. And I just understand, you know, the super excitement because they know they're cheering for their team to get to the next level. Like Will said, they are spoiled people now. So this is a new beginning of a new season where we have to win and we're going to win. And we got to get back to the championship because we didn't like the way it ended last year.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that in a minute. But Will, what was your relationship with the fans?
Well, the good part about it is I got to
'cause you
listen
only
to
played here.
I got to listen to all that screaming and everything else from the sideline. So that made it even easier. So I didn't have to worry about it when I was on the field. But, you know, they give you that special feeling, especially when you go to home of the Chiefs. You get that understanding, and you have that fan base behind you to where you go somewhere and you know that everyone's cheering for you to get better, do better, and they want to be a part of your organization. And that's the coolest part. I mean, from there to the red coders to everyone that volunteers and gives of their time, it's special. And that's what makes it unique. And you create that relationship, and it's a relationship you have for the rest of your life. You know, you're like, oh, yeah, I remember that person. Oh, yeah, they were a red coder, and this person did this, and we traveled here together, and we do that kind of thing. And that's what makes it really special is watching all these fans come together for one cause and to make everything happen is make you have a great Sunday, Monday, or Thursday, or whenever you hit the field. Because it is really cool because it's beyond a college atmosphere. We had a great college atmosphere, but it was nothing like it is in One Arrowhead Drive.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Priest?
So I think for me, it's just that immediate gratification that you can get, and you can also more or less control that as an offensive player. So as a running back, for me to get 80,000 people out of their seat and maybe half of them hate me, but the other half really love me, that was the thing that was the most important to me, was just getting them out the seats, getting them excited, scoring touchdowns, and getting that excitement going. Because I think at the end of the day, it really does dictate the game, especially in those crucial downs like Neil mentioned. That fanfare that comes behind it and that noise, it can really, really disrupt some things, even on the defensive ball. But on the offensive side of the ball, once the fans get going, you just love it. You love it.
Well, they're showing up here today. We got signs made for you, Priest. Can we get the nuns to hold that up again? What is this? Holmes.
Good stuff. I love it.
That's commitment, man.
It is.
Love that. Love that. Love to see that. All right, before we close up shop here, there's something I want to get off my chest, because only one of the three people sitting up here is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and I think that's absolute nonsense. So I want to figure out. Let's talk about the process of getting into the Hall of Fame and what it means to be in the Hall of Fame. And let's make a case to get these other two in the Hall of Fame. Can we do that?
Yes.
Can we do that? So,
yes, most definitely. Most definitely.
So, Will, I'll talk to you first about it because you are there. Describe that feeling when you got the call, what that whole experience was like for you.
Well, like I said, like I'm thinking right now, my guys here are Hall of Fame guys. They should be there.
Absolutely.
Priest put together one of the best careers I've ever seen. Neil, one of the best sack leaders I've seen. He's got the numbers. He's got everything else of where they should be calibrated as being into the Hall of Fame. I went through that same presence of waiting, trying to figure out, when am I going to get in? Am I going to get in? At one point, I didn't care. I was like, hey, I didn't play for that. Yeah. I played for my guys. And then they start telling you about it, and then you start getting your hopes up. And that's the thing that sucks about it. You get your hopes up and go, oh, yeah, well, you're a Hall of Fame player. You're this, that, and the other. It's like, yeah, I am, but I don't know. But then when you get on that final ballot, and you sit on that final ballot for a year in and year out, and then they start flying you out to places to be there just in case they invite you. And you're in the hallway and you're hearing other guys screaming and yelling and getting in, and you're not that guy, and you get a phone call. So, you sort of lose the luster of it. And so when you finally get in, it's a relief. But also on the other hand, it's like, okay, what did I, I did X, Y, and Z to get there, but what about my other guys? And you walk across the street and you see, when you don't get in one year, you're walking with Tony Dungy. And I'm going, well, if Tony ain't in, how can I justify me being in? And so every year there's other guys, and that's what you look at. It's like there's other great guys that aren't in yet that should be in. And that's what makes it tough. So you can't take it as, oh, it's the end of the world. It's the simple fact that it's hard. And one lady told me one year, they called me on the phone and said, oh, you're not getting in. And the lady goes, baby, it's not, that doesn't define who you are. Yeah, it just defines what you did at that moment. And that changed my mindset. So when I got in, I was happy. It was cool. But it wasn't like I'm over the moon and it's beyond compare of what anything else could happen in life, because I got great kids. That's the greatest thing in life. I got to play a game for a living. That is the most precious thing you could ever say. And that was really what's really cool for me. And so to me, Hall of Fame is great. It's awesome. I love it. But there's other things in life that has been really cool for us.
Yeah, I like that. So here it is for me. So again, one of the greatest things that I've been able to experience is I've got another new name. So, of course, it was 3-1, it was 31, it was Holmes, it was Priest on Sundays. But for me now, my new name is Pop Pop. I'm a grandfather.
Let's hear it for Pop Pop. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's the same noise the air fryer makes too.
Yeah. So I've got a 7, a 3, and a 1, and that's definitely one of my proudest moments as well. As I sit as a finalist in running backs, the selection for running backs, it's one of those things that I've even actually asked other former players. I had a chance to talk to Marshawn Lynch, and, I asked him what did he think about the criteria. And so for him, he felt like, a running back should have at least 10,000 yards just to even enter the conversation. So I told him, I said, well, I'm really glad that you're not on the committee because if that's your standard, that's going to miss out quite a few guys, you know. But he then backed up his what he was saying was that it's more about those intangibles also. One, definitely what a running back, for example, does on the field, but also any individual that's being considered for the Hall of Fame, it's always going to go back to those intangibles of how they impacted the game as a player. If you're an offensive player, did you have the defensive coordinator and the defense eyes all on you when you stepped on the field, right? And then opposite, if you're an offensive player, you know, the same thing offensively with the offensive coordinator. If you were a defensive player, you know, did you disrupt the game? Were you a guy that they always had to put 2 or 3 guys on you? Did you change the game when you weren't playing? So it's a number of things that go into that consideration. I do know that there's several sports writers that they are the key. They are the ticket that you want to influence. But it's really good. I'm glad about being a finalist. It'll be a great opportunity if that day comes, but I'm excited about the work that I did do on the field at the end of the day.
What do you think? Priest, Hall of Fame? Gotta do this? Yeah, we're going to get you in there, man. We're going to get you in there. All right.
Yeah, that was real good.
Neil, what about you, man? I mean, your resume speaks for itself.
I mean, they said a whole mouthful. I mean, what more to say? You know,
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'm G-Paw. I'm G-Paw 9 times.
G-Paw, I got you. I love that.
Yeah. So, and like you say, and Will and them said, you know, we play the game for the love of the game. That's what I did. I played because I love to play sports. I love and I fell into something that, you know, I became and grew from it and learned from it, you know, 4 different sports and grew to this one sport that when I chose to go and take it to the next level, it was there. Now, I must say that when I did approach this football, the NFL, I never had, like one of these guys said just now, that ever crossed my mind that I would be a Hall of Famer. But when I walked into Arrowhead, I had that goal and that mindset, well, man, you know what, one day, you know, me and Derek would sit down, we said, like, we got to get our name on that wall. We thought the wall would mean more than the hall. But, you know, nevertheless, there, you know, Will and Derek was there, and I'm sure our number's going to be called. You know, like Priest said, what have you done to impact the football game? You know, how you did it. And back in the 90s and back all the way to 90 to 2000, I actually had, you know, the numbers to set it off, you know what I'm saying, from the time I played and walked in. So it's not about a numbers game. And I think that, you know, on Priest, you having this here platform, it's going to be, you know, it's really going to impel and help you and help us, because I really appreciate you having me here, because these are the things that I'm not accustomed to, you know, going out and doing these type of things, you know, being hidden. And some of these B writers that's out there, they don't know you. These are young kids saying that, you know, that your generation is going to get in. But I'm so past that. So, you know, to have it is kind of frustrating a little bit where, you know, you're not there. But then in another sense that I have to accept that God do have a timing for everything. And I really believe in, I put it in his hands. Now, I know a lot of family members is upset that I've been there, and like Will said, they haven't made that call, and they fly you different places and do stuff. But nevertheless, I'm not worried about it, because I think that, you know, I got a lot out of football. I mean, I really did. I mean, I was blessed to get 2 championships.
Yep.
You know, and did the work that I have here, and it matters to me. You know, you can't take that away from me. And I just think that, you know, forever, whatever I've done, if this has put the icing on the cake, I'll accept it. But damn it, I should be there too.
Absolutely. Should he be in the Hall of Fame? I mean, come on. I mean, I got to say, if you're on an all-decades team, you should be in the Hall of Fame. Like,
Yeah.
That's clear as day to me. All right, look, we're going to wrap this thing up. But I'm going to ask each of you to give some advice to the current players right now. So if you could speak to the current players right now, give them some advice. Maybe they're young rookies. Maybe they're living different lifestyles. Whatever they're doing, what's something you've taken away from your experience playing at this high level that you want to pass on to maybe some of those players that never met you, will never meet you, but they're going to see this?
Well, my first objective to one of them is that, you know, just be yourself. You know, stay within the confinement of your work and your job, you know, because it is a job. And it's so hard, you know, with this young generation and the money and the wealth that they can make out of this. It's kind of hard to give those people that type of money, and they say, why would somebody do something dumb as that? Well, you're not thinking. You're still young. So my thing is that, you know, just hang on and just surround yourself mainly with the people that love you. And those are the ones, if someone really cares about you, they love you out, they don't let you drive home. Or they don't put you in the hands of other people that, that's a problem. You vet those people out away from your life before you can better yourself. So my only objective is that, love yourself, love your players. And I know the players here, and some of them I've met, they've done an awesome job. We haven't had that, around here in a while. And I just think that, Coach Reed, you got to give him that powerful respect that they respect everything that he does. And these guys can, they can relate to what the system is and how we're going to play, within the confinement of this family. And that's what it is. It's all about family and loving each other. And that's why they win championship, because they are the ultimate piece that they need to be there. And that's how they play the game.
Nice. What about you, Will?
Well, for me, I was at the one-on-one bank when I had a coach that was sitting up there talking back and forth, and he's looking around and he goes, I'm trying to figure this out. He goes, are you a person that can you give me a roadmap if you've never been there? So how do you get that roadmap? So for all my young people that want to do what we've done or what we're doing, find that mentor. Find somebody to help you get to that roadmap so you can be the best that you can be, and be able to ask them those tough questions across the board. How did you get here? What did you do? What do you think of this? And be okay with it, and know that you don't know it all. And that's the hard part. Make sure you don't know it all so that you can learn more, so that you can be the best that you can be and set a higher goal than the person that you're actually working with.
Nice. And what about you, Priest?
Well, it might be a little different from me, Mark. It might not be just a young person I'm talking to, but I would probably say mainly to the Kansas City Chiefs defensive secondary. When it comes to open field tackling, you're going to have to tighten it up.
Hey.
So that's the first thing that I would say to those guys. And then, of course, to Mahomes, I would say just continue to be magical, right? Spread the ball around like he's always has, and continue to be that player and be that leader that he is. He's playing on a different level. We've seen that for the last 7 to 8 years, and so I think it's very impressive what he's been able to do. So my biggest advice is open field tackle, Chiefs defense, tighten it up. That's the first thing I'm going to say. And then again on the offensive side of the ball, I don't know. I think Kelsey's getting ready to retire because he's got a lot of work ahead of him in his marriage.
The circus is in town, baby.
That's right.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. All right, so everyone who joined us here at the Kingdom Bar and Grill, we want to thank you very much. Give yourselves a round of applause. We want to thank the Kingdom for hosting us.
That's right.
Thank you for letting us do our first ever live edition of the Home Stretch. And let's give it up one more time for 3 members of the Kansas City Chiefs Hall of Honor. Priest Holmes.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Good job, sir.
Will Shields, Neil Smith, and a couple of nuns in the back. All right, my name is Mark. That's going to do it for this episode. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow us on all the socials. We'll let you know when we're back. Again, thank you all very much. Thank you.
This has been a Playmaker production.